Warning: the following video contains spoilers for Deltarune, chapters 1 through 4, as well as spoilers for future chapters that have yet to be released as of the publishing of this video. You have been warned. Now, please enjoy the video. As any good Deltarune fan does, I search high and low for all secrets and dialogue while playing through the game. I don't always find everything, but there was one thing in particular I found while playing Chapter 4 for the first time. If you wait a minute and listen to Susie and Noelle's dialogue while the soul is in Noelle's basement, you can overhear this exchange of dialogue in the room above. This dialogue piqued my interest. I could tell this was clearly a reference to something. I had to find out what. Every reference in Toby Fox's games are always secret, very important hints to parallels in the story and characters. Every single one. Sometimes they are even hints to future events. As good Deltarune fans, we all know Toby just steals everything from other pieces of media he likes, because that's what inspiration is. Just copy and pasting from your favorite stories. We can analyze every possible reference and influence and make highly educated guesses as to where the story is headed. An unanalyzed reference could be a goldmine for potential lore readings. So the question was, what the hell was Noelle even talking about here? A guy who gets really mad about games? There's a lot of those on the internet. Could be hard to narrow it down. I had to think about which one of them also made a goofy horror series. But I was running into nothing but dead ends. Until I asked my friend, who was more well-versed in this kind of obscure trivia. They told me it was most likely the one and only Angry Video Game Nerd. Apparently, he had a side series where he reviewed board games called Board James. That doesn't sound like a horror series like Noelle said, but I trusted my friend and began my deep dive into this Board James series. I was expecting to find a few lore hints, perhaps some more funny Deltarune trivia, but what I found was so much more than that. Join me now, my good Deltarune fans, as we delve into what I like to call Deltarune Bucket Theory. The theory that solves all of Deltarune. As I previously stated, Board James is a series of board game reviews by Board James, better known as the Angry Video Game Nerd, better known as James Ralph. Episodes follow the titular Board James, a clever play on board games, as he plays and reviews board games from his childhood, reminiscing on simpler times in his past.
I'm Board James, and when Board James is bored, I play some board games.
Often with some crude, juvenile humor.
Ooh, rusty crap. That sounds nasty. Rope crap. That's like a long piece of crap coming out of your ass. Poison gas crap. I've had that one before. Falling rock crap. Oh man, I don't think that one needs an explanation.
Sometimes alone, sometimes with his cheating friend, motherfucker Mike.
Wait, where'd you get all those balls?
What are you talking about?
You had more balls than me.
There's a bunch of balls behind you on the floor. They shot past you.
But, you asshole!
His friend named Mike, you say? What a coincidence. Things are pretty normal and uneventful in the beginning of the series. Then, episode 8 happens. A review of a children's game called Mr. Bucket. This was it. The beginning of the bucket theory. The episode begins innocently enough. Bored James and his friend, motherfucker Mike, are playing around with the kids' game Mr. Bucket. Mr. Bucket is a toy game where the objective is to put colored balls in the top of his head. He doesn't actually have the face of Ice-E, like Noel said, but it is just as unsettling.
Just an innocent little toy for kids.
Can I say it? Look at the big red nose. It looks like a drunk or a child molester or something.
Yeah.
The commercial for it is also highly inappropriate.
You remember Mr. Bucket, right?
Yeah, that commercial was on like all the time.
Mr. Bucket!
That's right, I'm Mr. Bucket. I'm Mr. Bucket. Toss your balls in my top, I'm Mr. Bucket. Out of my mouth I will pop, I'm Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run, I'm Mr. Bucket.
The game's Mr. Bucket. The first to get their balls into Mr. Bucket wins, but look out, because the balls will pop out of his mouth.
I'm Mr. Bucket.
I feel a little icky, even showing it here. It is not wholesome at all. Frankly, it disgusts me to the very core of my being. Anyway, Bored James and motherfucker Mike quickly grow tired of the game and part ways. Unusually, this is not the end of the episode. We see Bored James in his house later, in the shadow of night, looking up more info about Mr. Bucket. Suddenly, Mr. Bucket appears to come to life and attempts to, disturbingly, attack Bored James's testicles. Bored James runs away, calls up motherfucker Mike to come over to his house to help. Mr. Bucket then corners Bored James in his basement when motherfucker Mike shows up to help. Bored James suggests that Mr. Bucket attack motherfucker Mike's testicles instead. Mr. Bucket gladly obliges. Bored James seems to hesitate for a moment, watching Mr. Bucket prey on his friend. Finally, he gets up to help and drowns Mr. Bucket in a nearby sink.
Dude, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on?
You're probably wondering what any of this could possibly have to do with Deltarune. Well, people who aren't as savvy with the lore and themes of Deltarune are probably wondering that. The good Deltarune fans watching have already crossed their arms, leaned back in their chair, and pushed up their glasses thinking, I see how it is. Just as I did when I first watched this episode. I'll explain for those still wondering though. Notice how Mr. Bucket only comes to life at night, in the dark, just like all inanimate objects do in Deltarune's dark worlds. The fact that Mr. Bucket is Ice-E themed in the world of Deltarune hints at the long-believed theory that there will be an Ice-E themed enemy or even a boss in a future chapter. It may hint at something deeper as well. Like, maybe Mr. Bucket is friend. Or maybe he's Des. Well, Bored James is clearly a parallel to Kris, and this will be even more apparent in future episodes. I'm not even the first fan to notice this, it's so obvious. But who or what does motherfucker Mike represent? Is he the Mike? More questions lay at the front of my mind. and the answers were at the tip of Bored James's tongue. I continued watching the series and continued to be shocked. The very next episode, episode 9, introduces the character Bad Luck Bootsy, making our duo a trio.
Hey guys, can I play?
Bad Luck Bootsy?
Aw, Bad Luck Bootsy.
You had to
He's
jinx
an
it.
asshole.
He's a duty
That
head.
dude like fucked a frog one time.
Fuckface.
He's an idiot.
He sucks his own dick.
Oh, come on!
Ugh. Bootsy. You know, that one time I almost had that Rubik's Cube song.
Again, another obvious parallel to Deltarune is seen. Bored James, the unassuming, nostalgia-waxing protagonist, inspired Kris. We can now see Motherfucker Mike, the cheating, troublemaking friend, inspired Susie. And the last to be introduced, just like in Chapter 1, Bad Luck Bootsy, the naive, childish outsider, inspired Rousey. Shenanigans ensue in this episode, nothing too crazy. Except for...
I did not fucking put anything up my sleeve. I saw you put something up your ass, though.
You were blowing on the pieces. I saw you doing that.
I saw you blowing a goat last night.
You know, I'm just sick of your fucking shit.
Bad Luck Bootsy losing an eye while playing Tornado Rex. Perhaps a hint at part of Rousey's future prophesized tragedy. We do also know of another eye patch wearing character, Undyne in Undertale. Perhaps she'll lose her eye like this in Deltarune? Did Toby really think we, the good Deltarune fans, wouldn't uncover these clues? Maybe because nobody was noticing the parallels after Chapter 2, he had to insert a hint to the breadcrumb trail of inspirational lore secrets in Chapter 4. Still in a way that only the most dedicated and curious fans would find it. Oh, Toby, you sly dog. Or should I say, sly fox? No, really, which one should I say? Because he's a dog in the game, but his last name is Fox, so I don't know what I should be. For a long string of episodes, not much exciting happens. Bored James just gets really pissed off at his friends at the end of episode 18.
Really, guys? This is a really simple fucking game. Why can't we just play a fucking board game? It's not fucking funny! Like, this is the most dysfunctional group of friends I've ever had. Like, you're over here cheating, you're over here trying to make love with the damn shark. I'm bored, I want to play a fucking board game, and you're fucking pissing me off! Fuck you guys! What the hell is your guys' fucking problem? Fuck!
I was beginning to think that the trail had gone cold, and it was time to stop watching the series. But a good Deltarune fan never gives up searching for the light. And thankfully, episode 19, Dream Phone, would drop a bomb on the series and all of my theories. From the title alone, some of you may already see a hint. Phones and phone calls are very important in Deltarune. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the episode first. The gang gets together to play a girly game called Dream Phone. You use a fake plastic electronic phone to call boys and figure out who you're going out on a date with. Bored James strangely suggests it would be much cooler if it was a murder mystery game.
Forget that it's targeted towards young girls. It plays like a detective game. You really gotta think. Like, imagine if it's the same exact game, same rules and everything, but instead of trying to find a guy who likes you, it's all about solving a murder case.
Really weird thing to say, but okay, Kris, I mean, Bored James. Bad Luck Bootsy gifts Bored James the dream phone, and things take a dark turn later in the dark of night, similarly to the Mr. Bucket episode.
Look in the closet.
Jesus fucking Christ! He's dead! Did you kill him?
No. Did you?
No. Well, he's dead.
Yeah.
The phone appears to come to life and murders Bad Luck Bootsy and Motherfucker Mike. And while the phone corners Bored James, you can hear something odd.
Here it comes!
You hear Bored James himself laughing evilly. Strange. Bored James prevails, however, and soon the police arrive. They find Bored James in a twisted state, blood on the floor, laughing and acting aggressive towards them. The episode ends abruptly. Once again, I'll explain for all the not good Deltarune fans who don't immediately understand. Toby Fox clearly took a lot of inspiration from this particular episode. The phone is pivotal to Spampton's character and backstory. It is how he briefly became a big shot, and it's how he fell from grace, all thanks to the caller on the other end. When you use Kris's phone in a dark world, you get nothing but garbled Gaster garbage. So the person on the other end must be Gaster, right? Or maybe it's Des? Wrong and wrong. Based on the clues here, those answers are just not possible. What we can infer from the Dream Phone episode is that the call is coming from inside the house, if you know what I mean. The caller on the caller on the other end is none other than Kris themselves. So at some point before the story, Kris fell victim to a spam call or email, helping Spampton and later causing his downfall as well. Kris is also probably a murderer. There have been prominent hints and theories that Kris killed someone before the events of Chapter 1. Maybe they'll kill again in a future chapter. Maybe they'll kill Susie and Rousey. Maybe those two are getting too close to something Kris doesn't want them to know about. The sword route in Chapter 3 hints at Kris disposing of them somehow. But is there more to this than meets the eye? There's still more Bored James to cover, so more clues may come to the surface. Just how much more was Toby inspired by this series? The last batch of Bored James episodes, collectively known as Season 3, are much darker in tone than previous episodes. They are incredibly dense and filled to the brim with attention to detail. There is a lot to go over in these episodes, and they all definitely relate to Deltarune in one way or another. The first episode is Episode 20, Omega Virus. Bored James has been away for a while.
How'd you get here? Aren't you supposed to be in jail? Oh, well, I used the get out of jail free card. Yeah, but didn't you kill your friends or something? It wasn't me, that wasn't me, that was the fucking phone! God, fuck you! And everybody! Okay. You know, that guy looks familiar.
He's all alone, closed up in his house, and he wants to play a game to take his mind off the hardships of reality.
Let's play a game. I don't get to play very much anymore, and I've been bored. Very bored. And when Board James is bored, I play some board games. You like board games, right? Well, let's check out the attic here and dust off some old memories.
He decides to play Omega Virus, a game set in a futuristic space station with a talking robot.
It's a type of game my friends wouldn't want to play. It's too complicated. They call me a nerd for playing it. The moment you open the box, they say, "Oh shit, my mom's calling me." Well, now it's not like I have anybody to play with anyway, because... Never mind.
While playing, Board James suddenly splits into 4 different entities, 3 of which are actually robots. He kills them all. In relation to Deltarune, this perhaps shows how Kris deals with bouts of self-loathing. They feel an immense guilt over something, and wish they could absolve themselves of their sins and bad aspects of their personality. We see a bit of this in Chapter 3, with the little Kris from the Sword Route. The robots could also represent the soul, and Kris wishing to rid themselves of it. Future chapters may have us dealing with duplicate Krises. Episode 21 is Lie Detector. Board James plays a lie detector board game, similar to Guess Who, but you're trying to find a criminal. Eventually the game itself accuses him of the murder of his friends, Motherfucker Mike and Bad Luck Bootsy. Board James vehemently denies this.
Let's cut to the chase. You killed your friends, you know it.
No, it was the phone! The dream phone!
How does a phone pick up a knife?
I don't know! That's what was so fucking weird about it!
And you're also gonna tell me there was a yellow bucket chasing you around.
Yes, Mr. Bucket, he was trying to suck my balls, and Mr. Bucket, balls pop out of my mouth.
You're the one with the balls always coming out your mouth.
Balls.
Balls!
You balls!
Die, you fucking bucket!
What are you doing? It's just a toy. Are you fucking crazy?
It was always you. You did it.
There is a true and false ending to this episode, but both paths lead to the same conclusion. Board James, determined to prove his innocence.
The phone, the bucket, there's something going on here. Some kind of presence. And I'm gonna prove it.
Now, firstly, yes, obviously, the true and false endings leading to the same outcome in this episode heavily inspired Toby Fox's decision for Deltarune to only have one ending, while also having multiple paths to that one ending. The endings to this episode also hint at something more supernatural happening in the background. In Deltarune, this could be a reference to Gaster, or Friend.
The yellow bucket!
The pink phone with the knife!
The yellow bucket!
The pink phone with the knife!
Yellow, pink, yellow, pink, yellow, pink!
Board James's unwillingness to take blame for the death of his friends, despite him probably being guilty, parallels Kris's own murderous tendencies, while denying that they actually did commit the acts, and even enjoy such violence. Episode 22 is a combo episode, focusing on the Ouija board and Domino Rally. Board James uses a Ouija board, a device known for its real ability to summon demons and talk to the spirits of dead people.
A gateway to another world. A supernatural device that's led to violence, delirium, and summoning demons! Released by Parker Brothers.
He is unable to contact Motherfucker Mike or Bad Luck Bootsy, and quickly gives up, deciding to start playing Domino Rally instead. A supernatural accident happens while lining up the dominoes, however. Board James takes it as a sign to try the Ouija board again. This time, Board James takes desperate measures, seems to sacrifice his own life to try and find his friends. He wakes up in a strange place, is attacked by none other than Mr. Bucket and the Dream Phone. Suddenly, Elvis comes to the rescue.
Hunka hunka bucket, fuck it. It's all good, man. I got it all taken care of.
Board James comments on how Elvis looks similar to someone he used to know.
You look familiar.
Oh yeah?
Do I know you?
Motherfucker Mike, of course. They play a quick board game together, and Board James catches him cheating, deducing that he must actually be Motherfucker Mike. Then Rodney Dangerfield comes in the room. Board James spirits them all away into the next world, and there you have it, Motherfucker Mike and Bad Luck Bootsy have returned. Board James tries to talk to them about what happened, but they tell him to just ignore it all.
It's in the past.
It never happened.
It's alright, it's okay. We never need to talk about it again.
Never again.
Never more.
Never more.
Never more.
Quoth the raven, nevermore.
Now, this is a pretty meaty episode to delve into. The episode directly mentions demon summonings, which clearly inspired the summonings that Kris and Caddy used to do as children. Something that is sure to have more importance in future chapters of Deltarune. Board James saying Elvis looks like someone he once knew probably inspired Ralsei's design being based on Asriel, and some characters pointing out their similarity in appearance. Mr. Bucket and the Dream Phone reappearing has huge implications. My educated theory is that this represents Kris's inner struggle at its core. They are fighting themselves, and the soul which resides inside them, in a way, is a part of them. To further this, Board James ultimately choosing to ignore what happened in the past is a parallel to Kris repressing their own emotions and memories of their traumatic past, as we see in some of the Easter egg rooms. Episode 23, Wacky Blasters, is a much lighter episode than the previous one. The newly reformed gang play a weird air-blowing board game called Wacky Blasters. It's a simple episode, feeling like something from before all this supernatural murder mystery stuff happened. Board James even comments on this, asking if history is going to just repeat itself forever.
You know, guys, I really thought this would be a simple game to play. Is history going to keep repeating itself? Are we going to keep living this cycle forever?
Does this hint at time loop theory being true? The characters are doomed to repeat their mistakes forever? No, it doesn't, because time loop theory is fucking stupid. Also, pink and yellow come up a lot in this episode, and we all know what that means. Episode 24, Full House / Urkel. The gang plays some easy, nostalgic games based on television sitcoms. Another simple episode, but with obvious dark undertones. This time we see more hints at Board James's inner struggle with himself.
You like these glasses, don't you? They'd suit you.
No, they wouldn't.
Like, he's fighting off a dual personality or something. The episode calls his sanity into question as well.
I'm not alone. I have friends.
You don't have any friends.
You don't need to pretend. It's okay not to have any friends.
Hey! Stop touching my balls! Hey, where all the balls go? You have all the Hey! You asshole!
As explained before, this furthers the connection to Kris and their own inner struggles and the strange things they can see but others cannot, such as the egg rooms and the Death's Maze in Chapter 3. The episode's subject of board games based on nostalgic TV sitcoms is also most likely what inspired Chapter 3 to take place within Kris's TV, and to relate so much of that chapter to nostalgic memories of Kris's. And one last little detail that we see around the 35-second mark. Who's that, holding the phone, yelling angrily to the recipient on the other end? None other than Bored James, aka Kris, adding more evidence to the fact that Kris was the caller on the other end of Spamton's phone. Episode 25, Video Games, with the Angry Video Game Nerd. This episode is a crossover with the Angry Video Game Nerd, something I was not expecting. He and Bored James are played by the same person, James Rolfe. Bored James decides to play board games based on video games, with the Angry Video Game Nerd as his player too. They play board games based on Pac-Man, Zelda, Street Fighter, and Mario.
Damn straight. Now you're starting to see the light, Bored James, or should I call you Video James?
In a shocking twist, it is revealed that Bored James and the Angry Video Game Nerd are one and the same.
You know who you are. You're a nerd. You'll always be a nerd. A video game nerd.
Bored James fights his inner nerd from coming out, but he cannot keep it inside forever. The entire concept of this episode makes me think of how Deltarune and Undertale are parallels with each other. Almost mirrored, but not quite exactly. Perhaps even directly connected? Toby must have seen this episode and thought, I can make my next game just like this if I reuse and or tweak assets from Undertale. During the Pac-Man segment, they make note of how the ghosts are called monsters in the board game version. Could this hint at some aspect of monster kind that we are unaware of? Ghosts do appear to be part of the monster family, but what if there is something more ghostly to non-ghost monsters? Could the Dark World versions of dead monsters, resurrected through their ashes on special objects, be considered ghosts? The conditions for winning the Zelda game are to have the most hearts.
If the number of swords rolled is equal or higher than the number of the monster, you win. If the monster has a heart, you get a heart. But if you lose one of your hearts. If anyone loses all their hearts, the game ends. When somebody gets the Triforce, the game ends, but they don't necessarily win. The winner is the person to have the most hearts when the game is over.
Now, who do we know in Deltarune that loves hearts? I won't be surprised if in a future chapter we find out Carol wants, or maybe even already has, more than one red soul. The James duo also comments on how the board game version of these games are not as enjoyable as the real video games.
Who'd want to play a board game of Pac-Man when you can play the video game instead?
Real fun game. Really beats playing the video game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wish I was playing the real Zelda instead. You're right, it's ass. I'm gonna go play the video game.
Something brought up directly to Kris in Chapter 3. How it is noted that the edited, sanitized board video game that Tenna has the Lancer fan club play is not as fun as the real, violent, and gruesome video game, Mantle, which you play in the back room during the Sword route. Earlier in the episode, Bored James talks about the rules of one of the games being that multiple players control the same pawn.
Each player takes turns controlling Mario. That's odd that you all share the same pawn.
Which is another huge theme of Deltarune that Toby stole from this series and by extension this board game. Multiple parties are using and controlling Kris to meet their own goals, including Carol, Ralsei, Aram, Gaster, Toriel, the Eggman, the Soul, Birdly, the Knight, Des, the Prophecy, and even Kris themselves remember their inner struggles. All of which are vying for control of them, but in the end, only one will win. Things really heat up in the last 2 episodes, but before that, there is a small detour to an Angry Video Game Nerd episode. The episode where he reviews The Crow, a video game on the Sega Saturn console based on the movie The Crow. It's a standard episode of the Angry Video Game Nerd. He says rude things to the game, though he does bring up the infamous accident that happened on the set of The Crow that killed Brandon Lee, son of Bruce Lee.
Anyway, The Crow, of course, starred Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son. You can't talk about The Crow without mentioning the fact that he was accidentally killed on set by a defective gun blank. Yeah, I have nothing but tragedy to tell today.
I can see Toby being very thorough watching this series, and probably saw this episode too. He knew us good Deltarune fans would dig deep enough to find this. It's highly likely that the tragedy of Brandon Lee's death inspired the equally tragic death of December Holiday. Board James appears at the end of this episode, even angrier than the angry video game nerd himself, declaring it's now his time to take over.
Go away. You don't get a Halloween special.
Fuck you, you fucking asshole! Why? I never get a Halloween special! Why is it always gotta be about you? When's it gonna be my turn?
Okay. As soon as Halloween is over, we'll play some plastic and cardboard. Better late than never.
The 26th and penultimate episode of Board James is about yet another murder mystery board game, 13 Dead End Drive. This is another rather complicated episode, so I'll cut to the chase. Board James forces Motherfucker Mike and Bad Luck Bootsy to play the board game 13 Dead End Drive. And while Board James starts getting a little too into the game...
Ooh, now who do I have the privilege of killing? Bootsy! Fried! You play with fire, you get burned! Burn, bitch, burn! Burn, burn, burn! Burn, 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 burn!
Motherfucker Mike and Bad Luck Bootsy sneak away to explore Board James's strange labyrinthian house. They find mysterious newspaper articles of a criminal known as the Hangman. Board James drags him back to the game.
Hey guys!
And to their horror, it is revealed Board James is the Hangman. Board James then attempts to murder the two, but Motherfucker Mike is able to overpower Board James and hang him instead. Then, Bad Luck Bootsy sees a photograph in Board James's pocket. The photo reveals that it was actually Motherfucker Mike who hung Bad Luck Bootsy in Board James's closet in the Dream Phone episode. This calls into question whether Board James really was the Hangman or not. Did Motherfucker Mike frame him? A struggle ensues, with Bad Luck Bootsy hanging Motherfucker Mike. And then Bad Luck Bootsy accidentally hangs himself. All of our characters are dead again. So what happens next? And more importantly, does any of this relate to Deltarune?
Okay, it's like we're the gods of fate. We have this little imaginary world that we're in command of.
This line probably served as more inspiration for the themes of freedom and control in Deltarune as a whole. Board James trapping and forcing his friends to play a game more than likely inspired the premise of Chapter 3, where Kris creates a dark fountain, thereby creating a dark world where their friends are forced to play games. Because of the events in this episode, this undoubtedly proves that one member of the Lancer fan club will kill another member before the end of the game. Or, if Toby is boldly copying everything from the series, the Lancer fan club will all kill each other.
Hey, BJ. It's time.
Now, here we are at the final episode. Episode 27, Nightmare and Beyond Nightmare. This is an incredibly complicated episode. James Rolfe himself also made a follow-up video after this episode that explained the mythology of the Board James series. Many things are revealed here that shed immense light on Toby Fox's creative vision and the world of Deltarune as a whole. It's incredible that I haven't seen many other good Deltarune fans talk about this, because it answers so many things we've questioned over the years. Toby just had to give us a little hint on where to look in Chapter 4. I'm so glad he did. Now, as I said, this is a complicated episode, so I'll try my best to summarize things. The cast has died and gone down another layer. What that means will be revealed soon.
We are all very dead.
For now, they appear to be in a room similar to the board game they were just playing before, 13 Dead End Drive. Board James forces them to play a video board game, which is a board game with a VHS of rules and commands to go with it.
Say yes to VHS.
You want to play the game?
Who is this guy?
The gatekeeper!
I'm sure you can guess what, or rather who, this TV-faced rule giver clearly inspired. While playing the game, chaos ensues, and the trio dies again. They wake up in the world of Nightmare to play a twisted version of Hangman and Operation. It is revealed that the universe of Board James exists in multiple, sort of Inception-style layers.
The whole world you live in is a game. When you die, you start a new game. First one to die gets to imagine the world, set the rules, and this is your world.
When one of the group dies near a board game, their soul transfers into that game, and they become the game master. When the others die, they follow into the next layer, but not in total control. We also can see that in the very first layer of this world, it shows Board James in prison, about to face the electric chair for some crime he committed, or supposedly committed. The Nightmare board game probably had a big influence on the sword route in Chapter 3. Aram, the secret boss of the sword route, is Mayor, backwards, like Nightmare, like the name of the board game. Fans had previously speculated that it was the video game The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening that had an influence on this section of the game, but I think we can put that theory to rest now. The parallels here are much, much more apparent in my good opinion. Hey guys, I just wanted to give a real quick update on this part of the video. Still editing it right now, so you're a little behind the scenes. My audio setup right here, pretty good. I needed to look up the game, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, to see how similar or dissimilar it was to the sword route. And, see, it's a Nintendo Switch game. And this, well, here, just look for yourself. See, they look kind of similar. They're both like overhead. And like you're slashing monsters and moving screen to screen and all that good stuff. But like graphically, they don't look anything alike. The sword route in Deltarune looks like a really old retro game. This one looks like a modern 3D game. When did this come out? 2019, September 20th, 2019. That's after when Deltarune came out in 2018. And the Board James Nightmare episode came out in 2015. 15. So, yeah, I think that this basically 100% confirms that Board James was the inspiration for the sword route, not the Zelda Link's Awakened game. Okay. We'll get back to the video right now. We see the group go down several more layers, through Candyland, Forbidden Bridge, and Battleship. Board James hints at a previous vendetta he had with Mother Mike, perhaps in a past layer of life.
You and I go way back. You've motherfucked me, motherfucker. Now, it's your turn.
Was Board James betrayed by him? Is it possible Board James was truly innocent all along? This could have enormous lore implications that we'll discuss later. Even still, Board James becomes more evil and vindictive the further down the layers they go. Eventually, Bad Luck Bootsy and Motherfucker Mike are able to get one over on him and defeat him once and for all. Or do they? The last shot of the series is of the skeleton of Board James in the underwater sunken battleship surrounded by board games. His soul could be inhabiting any one of them. So that's the end of the series, but not the end of the theories, folks. What does it all mean? Well, let's take a step back to get our bearings and really look at just how similar these pieces of media are. Both Board James and Deltarune explore the themes of escapism, reality versus fiction, loss, trauma, betrayal, self-discovery, and nostalgia, all wrapped up in forms of meta-commentary and game references. They both star protagonists with misunderstood, checkered pasts, doing questionable things in the present, with a penchant for escaping from reality and waxing nostalgic about better days. But something bugged me a good deal while watching through the series that so obviously influenced Toby Fox's brain mind. Where was the parallel for Des, the linchpin to the entire story of Deltarune? The most important character in the entire game. I guess there were subtle hints towards her here and there. Maybe. If Toby was so inspired by this series, he clearly wasn't inspired enough. Board James wasn't even a story about saving your cursed friend. At its core, it was a story about a supposed murderer and their betrayal by a close friend. So stay with me here, folks, because this might get a little bit crazy, insane, loco for some of you. We already know that Board James and Motherfucker Mike are reflected in Kris and Ralsei, respectively. We also know that Motherfucker Mike's resemblance to Elvis, or a different previous person in Board James's life, is acknowledged and reflected in Asriel, episode 27, and the Board James mythology episode Extra Hint at a previous grudge between these two characters, despite working together and begrudgingly being friends.
Who were they in their past life? Cellmates? Crime partners who double-crossed him? I don't want to say too much. Use your imagination.
What if, hypothetically speaking for the purposes of this theory, Board James and Motherfucker Mike were brothers in a previous life? Or at the very least brothers in crime, but brothers nonetheless. The mirrors to Kris's complicated relationship with Ralsei and Asriel are much clearer through this lens. But there are more dots to connect. I know this goes much deeper. I mentioned before how it's odd that there doesn't appear to be a death parallel in the Board James series. Well, after thinking it over for 5 seconds, it's clear why. Her parallel in Board James would be dead or missing before the events of the series. Us, the viewer, none the wiser. Just like in the game. So, who killed her? Who killed this unseen character in Board James and Deltarune? Can ya guess? I know I have a couple of guesses. But we're trying to save this, I hear you say. Well, maybe we are. But what if Kris and their best buddy, the Knight, aren't? What if their behind-the-scenes intentions aren't as virtuous as many have led themselves to believe? If they were, why wouldn't Kris ask their new friends for help in this epic quest to save the girl? Of course, Board James shows the truth to us all. Let me paint a big what-if picture for you. What if your older friend or brother, who you looked up to and admired, killed someone? Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they didn't actually kill her, but sort of accidentally spirited her away somehow. But it still happened. It was still their fault. In the eyes of others, it could be seen as a murder. What if you were there to see it all happen? What if you were just close enough that you could be seen as an accomplice? What if you were so close that maybe you could have even stopped it from happening, but you didn't? What if he blamed you for what happened? He says you could have helped, but you didn't. You feel the guilt, but are too young to process it. You're the troublemaker of the family, after all. Maybe it was your fault. What if your brother or friend guilt-tripped you into helping them hide the evidence of this event? Your family reputation cannot be tarnished. What if he made you promise not to ever tell anyone about this secret, and to do whatever it takes to prevent anyone from ever finding out about this horrible, horrible incident? Your brother friend's reputation is saved, but you feel used, betrayed, and heartbroken. What if you became so traumatized by this event that you buried it deep in your psyche, hoping it would never resurface, isolating yourself from everyone around you, friends and family? Your only comfort being alone and thinking of better nostalgic times. And then, what if something strange was suddenly happening in your life that could make that incident be known to everyone? What if some people you just became friends with were getting dangerously close to finding her in the place she was spirited away to? What if they were getting close to the truth? Do you try to save her, or do you keep your promise? Maybe you and your brother friend work together in secret and go to great lengths to prevent that horrible incident from being known to others. And maybe in some twisted way, It even feels kind of good. It feels good to be teaming up and working together with your brother friend. You perform mental gymnastics to make it feel kind of nostalgic in its own way. Maybe you figure that the best way to prevent the truth from getting out would be to go even deeper. Go straight to the source. Go straight to wherever she was spirited away to. Find her and destroy her for good. What if your newfound friends found out about this crazy plan of yours? Previously in this theory essay video, I made some educated guesses about future events in Deltarune, based on events in board games. So what other accurate predictions can we make? I scientifically predict that a future hidden boss will be a parallel to the Dream Phone, which will unveil the revelation that Kris was the one calling Spamton. We'll probably get an extended cutscene if we have already defeated Spamton back in Chapter 2. The fight promoter from the lie detector episode will also be a future character. This character will act as an accuser and judge of Kris and the Soul's past actions, most likely after an event that separates them from the rest of the Lancer fan club. Whether they are guilty or not will be based on the route that the player has taken. The wacky blaster characters are practically begging to become enemies or NPCs in the game. You might think that they could be secret bosses, but I don't think so. They do not appear to be malicious creatures. There will be a section in a future chapter where the Lancer fan club cannot make it to a certain location in enough time. Maybe it's across a big gap or something. The wacky blasters will assist them by blowing them to their destination. It's clear as day. Based on the majority of board games taking place within the titular character's basement, we can safely assume a future Dark World will take place in, you guessed it, a basement. Perhaps one we've already seen before, one that even has our old pal Ice E in it. Alright, get ready for another bombshell reveal exposed by board games that you probably aren't prepared for. The world of Deltarune operates in a similar manner to board games. And by that I mean it operates in layers and depths. And those layers are as follows. Layer number 1 is the real world. Us. We, the player, in the real world, open the video game program and escape into this new reality and control Kris and Frisk. Layer number 2 is Undertale. Yes, Undertale is the next layer because it was the first game. Toby Fox was the creator of this layer in the real world, and because of what it sets up with WD Gaster. Layer 3 is the original Deltarune file select menu and the depths. Gaster was the first monster to die well before the events of Undertale. He fell into his creation, the core, died, and then created this layer. Something goes awry here though, and the next layer is created by someone else. This next layer, Layer 4, is Deltarune as we know it, the light world. This is the biggest layer, made after someone messes with the Goner maker in Deltarune's opening, and discards our avatar or vessel. Regardless, the light world or hometown is made. The person in control of this layer is in fact not Gaster, but the other unknown entity, though Gaster is still an observer. The vessel is also not known to be conscious though, so the controller of this world is probably not them. Layer number 5 is the Dark World. Kris, Susie, and others experience a sort of death every time they enter a door into this next layer, which is the Dark World. Inanimate objects come to life, and phones do not work normally, as a reflection of the creator's intent. The Dark World being a layer underneath the Light World is heavily hinted at already by Rousey, backing up bucket theory. Layer number 6 is Mantle. Even deeper into the layers is the Mantle video game from Chapter 3's Sword Route. It is an even deeper form of escapism and ego death than the Dark Worlds already are. As we see throughout Chapter 3, there are other retro-style consoles that act in the same manner as the Mantle video game. Perhaps there are more we will see in future chapters to take us into this retro layer once again. The next layer is darker than dark. The layer beneath even that is where the Titans and their little spawns reside. Pure darkness with no light, bubbling to the upper layers occasionally, or waiting to be freed by someone like the Night. Layer 8 is something even deeper, perhaps. Surely there lurks something even more terrifying at the bottom of Deltarune's layers. It might be Mike. Now, if you do not want to be spoiled on Deltarune's ending, and I don't blame you if you don't want to, just skip to the timestamp here, and once all the episodes of Deltarune are out, just come back to this video, and you will see just how accurate bucket theory truly was. The ending. The thing we are all looking forward to the most in Deltarune. It's what matters the most after all. Toby Fox has gone on record saying that the ending is what he thought of first. He had a fever dream of it while he was sick. Well, I think I can guess what was playing in the background while he was sick. Based on what we see in the Board James finale, this is when the true nature of Deltarune's layered world will be revealed to us, the player. No matter what path we choose, something that Kris did at some point in the past will make all of those around them turn against them. When the truth gets out, Kris will have no choice but to fight back. Fight to the bitter end, they will. Eventually making it all the way down to the bottom layer. And after a climactic battle, they will die, thereby creating another new layer. This next layer will be revealed in Toby Fox's next game, A Nerd Loot. A brand new game starring a silent androgynous protagonist just like Undertale and Deltarune, and bringing full circle the connections between Undertale, Deltarune, Board James, and even the angry video game Nerd, which the title is in reference to. Well, there you have it, folks. That is bucket theory. The theory that Toby left a clue for in plain sight and that I solved. It solves everything. Congrats to you for making it to the end, my good Deltarune fans. I hope this journey was as enlightening to you as it was to me. When the final 3 chapters come out, and all of this theory is proven true, you could come back and comment praise to me for being so smart and following the clues laid out by Toby Fox. You can also praise me in the unlikely event that only one thing in this video was proven true. There is a 0% chance that this entire video will be proven false in the future. I'm expecting a sly praising comment from Toby Fox himself as well. I cannot wait to receive his praise. Also, go watch the Board James series. It's a very fun time. It's full of lots of creativity and laughs. It's one of James Rolfe's best works. Now I'm gonna go and eat my own asshole. Bye-bye.
The shirts themselves sometimes give little hints. Ghosts, the electric chair from Ride the Lightning, Garfield's a cat, 9 lives, representing the 9 worlds. I planted the idea of the cat all over. I planted the idea of the cat all over. I planted the idea of the cat all over. I planted the idea of the cat all over.